I spent the last few months preparing like crazy and stressing the hell out just for people to love my flower crown more than my art. Hi there, friends, and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, hello! I am Fairy in Black, also known as Anna. If you've been here in this desolate corner of UT before, I'm glad to see you again. I am an artist who focuses on fantasy art, and this is my channel where I mostly show off this fantasy art. So this year, I finally made a dream come true. Well, several, if we're being super honest. I finally saw some of my favorite bands live, that's one. I also finally pushed myself enough to start learning digital art. But most importantly, I got a table at ComicCon. In my home country, we don't have ComicCon. We only have a small pathetic version of it. So when I moved to Canada in 2016, one of the first things I did was go to the Winnipeg convention with my nerdy dad. Long story short, we had a blast. I met someone there who became one of my most favorite Canadian artists and who also influenced my own work. He goes online by the username Renegade Pencil. I also saw real-life cosplayers for the first time. I think it was then when I set the goal for myself. Someday I too will showcase my art at a convention. It took a while and a lot of work, but 6 years after I came to this country, I finally reached my goal. I made massive jumps in my art skills since then, and finally started making art that I'm confident in, so once the Ottawa Comic Con was announced, I applied to get a table at the Artist Alley. Coincidentally, this all happened in the same month when I marked 6 full years living in Canada and got my citizenship, so I can say I had a very nice August and beginning of September. I applied back in February and made the last payment for the table in March. And since then, I've been focused on finishing school and thinking of ideas. I knew what was waiting for me, a summer packed with work, but I was honestly excited because, after all, art is what I want to do for a living, and this is a great opportunity for me to put myself out there. Biggest concerns was I was not sure which art I should sell. Judging from previous experiences, pretty much every second table at Comic-Con is filled with fan art. Lots and lots of fan art. And here's where I faced a dilemma. Do I also want to do fan art, or should I present my original idea? Do I stand out, or do I fit in? In the end, I found a nice middle ground. I will do both. Hence the Jujutsu Kaisen series I've been working on this whole summer, and also this digital drawing I'm working on in this video, which I streamed on Twitch. Along with these bad boys, I also made prints of my old Inktober project and select angel drawings that I'm proud of. My table was stunning. Now, just a little fun fact. Conventions take so much preparation. I did not expect the amount of stress I had before the convention. It's so much more than making merchandise and getting a table. I had to buy the grid setup, a square terminal to accept cards, a cash box and, cash, bags for everything, and small stuff like business cards and thank you notes, paper clips for displaying, lots of stuff. I have long lists of things I need to bring, and I was constantly panicking that I forgot something. I have the tendency to forget the most important things, and we'll get to that. We'll get to that. And even after I set up according to plan, I noticed that I forgot price tags, and I should have brought a tablecloth. My point is, it is very stressful. So next time you go to Comic-Con and you see all these artists, just appreciate them being there, because it is hard. It is hard work. I knew it's not gonna be easy because I have been at conventions and at vending tables before, but just actually doing it myself, it is very difficult. It is retail on steroids, and retail is hard enough on its own. I must say though that the artist beside me complimented me on my setup and said that I'm very well prepared for a first timer. So maybe I didn't do so badly. My point is, I was stressed the hell out, and as a result I was stressing out everyone around me. Just ask my mom and boyfriend, they got yelled at a couple of times. I'm so sorry, guys, I did not mean it. And that's not even touching on the price of everything. I did the math and I paid in total for Comic-Con more than I paid for rent. So I was pretty much broke towards the end, and my minimum wage job was not covering at all. If you saw my Montreal vlog, you probably noticed that my skin was gross and flaky. That's my body's stress response, and I was in really bad shape in that trip because it was on the weekend before Comic-Con. But it wasn't all that bad. I have a tendency to be extremely anxious before important events, but then once I'm in the moment, all my anxiety disappears like magic. It's a trait that was very useful back in my competitive gymnastics days, and it also served me at Comic-Con. I will try to summarize the best as I can how it went, with highlights of each day and lessons I learned from this event. So it lasted from Friday, September 9th to Sunday, September 11th. And it was in the Ottawa EY Convention Center, which is located beside the Ottawa airport, long story short, the middle of nowhere. On Thursday, my parents came from Winnipeg, which is about 2-hour flight from Ottawa, or 2-day drive, whichever way you want to do it. And their goal was to travel around Ottawa and also help me out at Comic-Con. I had a nice dinner with my family, formally introduced my boyfriend, and then did a crucial mistake. Went to sleep over at his place. I did not sleep much. Setup time on Friday was between 8 a.m. and 11 a.m. So we had to wake up nice and early, so I have time to put on my makeup. We drive all the way to the convention center and then set up. We arrived at around 9:30, and then I realized that I forgot my backpack. Guess what's in that backpack? All of my cash and the Square terminal. So all of my money, all of my ways of making money, I forgot at my apartment, which is about half an hour drive from the convention center, while I have to sit up. Yeah, I was gonna cry. So I asked my boyfriend if he could drive back to my place and get it. And God bless this man, he said yes. I owe him. I have not figured out what yet, but I owe him something for this massive favor. I must say, my boyfriend was my biggest support in all this. I don't know if he realizes, but he was my rock, whether intentionally or not. He drove to my place and I was left alone to set up. It took maybe an hour, so it was all good. And just like that, fueled by maybe 5 hours of sleep, a Monster energy drink, and pure determination, I started my first day. I finished my costume by adding a corset and my obnoxious flower crown, and was ready to advertise myself and my art. It started super quiet because, it's a Friday morning, people are still working. But around 5 p.m. the crowd started to thicken. More and more people joined in, of all ages, some dressed up and some not. I'd say the first day is when I interacted with the most artists because I had the time to walk around and look at what they got. People absolutely loved me, I think. I was walking around in my long lacy dress and my huge crown looking like a spirit. I wanted to dress up as myself, but in sort of a fairy form. A gothic fairy. So here are the highlights of that day. I saw my classmate, who's a god-tier cosplayer and fashion designer, and we chatted for a bit and it was super nice. I met a lead RPG author that my dad follows. I connected with an amazing digital artist who said they'd love to collaborate with me. I bought a beautiful necklace that I wore for the rest of the event, and even that table who sold me the necklace, the jewelry maker, they told me that was their first sale of the day, and then shared a picture of me in it on their page. It was just so nice. It was such a good artist to artist interaction, and I had a lot of these. That is just, it's fun. I love that kind of stuff when we both just look at each other's work and you good? I love your stuff. I'm sure there was more, but that's what I remember at the top of my head. Around 5 or 6 p.m. I started to feel the need for another energy drink and maybe something with chocolate to keep myself awake. I've been on my feet since 6 a.m. with very little sleep, so I was crashing, but I survived till the end and wrapped up my first day on a high note. Later, I reconnected with my parents and had dinner with some family friends, and after that, I went home and crashed. Day 2 was the most difficult of the 3, and it was mostly my fault. Again, I didn't get much sleep. I was very slow in the morning, which made me a bit late, but the worst part was yet to come. You see, I was wearing contact lenses as part of my look. That's an important detail. My vision is pretty bad, so I usually wear glasses, but when I'm wearing a big flower crown, I can't also wear glasses. It kinda hurts, it's very uncomfortable. So I switched to contact lenses. But here's where I made a mistake. It's not a good idea to wear contacts for longer than 8 hours in one day. On Friday, I wore them for over 12. So on the second day, my eyes were already red, but I pushed through and put in the lenses regardless. The headache I felt that day was unbearable. I managed to ignore it for most of the day, but around 2 or 3, I started to get really tired and irritated, which is not a good thing at all when you do something as socially demanding as being at a convention. If you saw me on Saturday around that time, I'm really sorry if I came off a bit distant. My brain felt like it was splitting in 2 halves. Despite that, it was a really good day. Weirdly enough, much more people attended, and that's the day when I made the most connections. I met a comic artist who was fascinated by my crown, and after some conversation gave me a copy of his book. I gave out so many business cards that I actually ran out of them. I saw some familiar faces, and probably the biggest highlight was a girl who approached my table and said she's been following me for a while and was super excited to hear that I'm coming to the convention. Oh my god, this was so nice to actually meet people who follow me already. Like that, I don't know, it just felt nice. For a second, I'm like, oh my god, I am like micro famous. Ooh. One woman cried when looking at one of my angels and called my art powerful. It's interactions like these that keep me going. To know that some people find meaning in my art is the most valuable experience. To my surprise, my original art sold much better than my fan art. The Castlevania set sold pretty well, but nobody even touched my Attack on Titan series, and not many of my Jujutsu Kaisen angels sold. Ironically, the one Jujutsu Kaisen angel that was purchased the most was my least favorite one. It gave me a really good look into the audience my art appeals to and what kind of art is my strongest. Clearly, my original style resonates much more, which honestly, I can't complain about. After day 2, I was ready to marry my bed. It was by far the hardest day, but also the most rewarding. Keep in mind, I'm doing all this for, I think, day 1 was an 8-hour day, day 2 was 9, even more, and I get ready hours in advance. So I do all this for pretty much like a whole workday in full glam. Now, I did not have to look good. In fact, a lot of artists, they clearly like prioritized comfort over looks. But at the same time, I figured at some point that, especially for me, it is very useful to sell not only my art, but also like the vibe and the person that comes with it. I am also like a content creator, not only an artist. So I thought it would help to get people's attention by looking really obnoxious, to be honest. And it worked. It really did work. But the payback was the fact that I was quite uncomfortable for that whole time. And on day 2, I had to at some point ditch the flower crown and remove my contact lenses and wear glasses because I was like actually dying. And honestly, the relief I felt once I removed the contacts was instant. So yeah, I'm not doing that again. Not wearing contacts for a whole day anymore. That was terrible. While day 3 was equally busy to day 2, it was much easier because I finally slept enough and I'm seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. This is the day when I made the most sales, to my surprise. A lot of people who stopped by on the days before, either Friday or Saturday, came back to purchase some prints. I thought I'll make the most sales on Saturday because typically that's the busiest, most intense day, but no, for me it was Sunday. I made sure my eyes are well rested and was ready to remove my crown and contacts at the slightest sign of discomfort. I was happy, energized, and motivated. Some fellow artists stopped by because they finally found the time to walk around. Some even bought a print and gave me advice. This day further solidified that next time I should focus my energy on original art and ditch the whole fan art idea. A group of teenagers stopped by and were in awe staring at my Jujutsu Kaisen angels, but they ran out of cash, so I gave them a business card. I met the only cosplayers at the event. The only who dressed up as the Castlevania squad, which honestly is shameful. There should have been more, but they did such a good job. I absolutely loved them. We took a picture together and they gave me a lovely phone charm and also their Instagram handles. I let a few kids try on my flower crown and the smile on their faces honestly made my day. The biggest highlight was a little girl and a goth mom who approached my table. The girl loved my stickers and told me she's also learning how to draw. There was a dad and his daughter who asked me about art school. I would say making kids and teenagers happy gives me like a special sense of fulfillment. Like it's not the same as making adults happy, if that makes sense. These are like really special moments that I hold really close to my heart. In terms of sales, I earned enough to pay off my table, but not much above that. But honestly, I didn't even expect to pay it off. If I made half of the price of the table, I would have considered it a successful event. My goal at ComicCon wasn't necessarily to make money, but just to put myself out there in the Ottawa community. It was about making connections and promoting my art. In that sense, I'd say ComicCon was successful. My social media has been booming lately, and hopefully I'll see long-term benefits from this event. I met a lot of amazing artists and some very kind people. I got some valuable advice and many ideas for future ventures. Would I do it again? Absolutely. Next summer I want to try at Montreal Comic Con. That is much bigger. It was difficult and at moments I was very grateful for my retail experience, which helped me smile through the pain, but I have zero regrets, only motivation. If we met there, just letting you know, I was happy to see you. No matter how sad or tired I looked, every person who stopped to say hi or comment on my art, you're my hero. I was honestly overwhelmed by the amount of love I received. Hopefully we'll meet again. Thank you for watching, friends. This is my fan art of Sypha from Castlevania, one of my probably most favorite shows of the last 5 years. I would put it on the same level for me as Avatar: The Last Airbender, and that says a lot because that show shaped me as a person. I also did Trevor and Alucard. If you follow my Instagram and if you watched my Twitch, you probably saw my working on them. I officially, I guess, revealed the artworks at ComicCon because I just didn't post them before. This is the first time I'm showing them not on Twitch. These were fun. I'm finally actually making digital art. I wanted to do it for years, but never had the motivation, and now finally found the time to practice a little bit. And once I stopped fighting with the software, I actually started enjoying the process. Right after Comic-Con, I was still in a pretty good mood. People were messaging me. I got a lot of new followers and subscribers. And people are telling me oh my god, you're so beautiful, I love your art. Apparently the official Comic-Con Instagram page put me on their advertisement, and people were coming to my table to see the weird girl with the big flower crown. Yeah, it was fun. But then once the weekend ended, I had to get back into my normal everyday life, which really sucked. Honestly, it really sucked. I got sick immediately after, either from someone at the convention or I don't know. I got sick. Just the common cold, nothing too serious, but I'm still have a bit of the sniffles. If you can hear it in my voice, I'm really sorry. That's not how I usually sound like. But yeah, I got sick immediately after and went back to school. School started on September 7th for me, and on the September 9th I actually had to skip a class to go to Comic-Con, which is not a good idea in university, but I kind of figured that my first convention is more important than my grades. I don't know, maybe it's the wrong thing to think, but that's pretty much was my reasoning in this situation. And I had to go back to work, go back to my boring minimal wage retail job, and I think that's probably the thing that was the hardest for me to handle. Like, I don't know, I was in such a good mood. I had like the pink glasses on. I felt so great. I thought like maybe there's hope for me as an artist, and then I went back to folding clothes for $15 an hour, which by the way barely covers groceries these days. And I'm like, oh my god, this is my actual life. And I've been like recovering from that state since. was not doing good. I don't know. I feel like I shouldn't complain, probably. I don't know if this is the right time and place to complain, but this is how I've been feeling. I just thought I should probably let you know. If you have any words of advice or comfort, I would appreciate it, because I need that sometimes. I really do. And I these days, I just kind of need that. I need some hope. But having said that, I'm gonna finish with the doom and gloom and finish with this video. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate your time. I really appreciate your support. If you want to keep me motivated, you can leave this video a like helped me quite a lot. Also comment for the algorithm, or if you have anything nice to say or anything mean, I will read mean comments too. Go to the sorry, I'm blanking my English. Oh, what is it called? Description. Sorry. Scroll down to the description of this video, where I'm gonna link all of my socials. Follow my Instagram, that's where I am most active and I post absolutely everything. If you want to support what I do, you can join my Patreon. And you can also check out my Etsy shop, which is currently restocked with a bunch of my new art. So if you missed Comic-Con and you want some of my art, it is currently on Etsy. Go check it out. And with that, I'm gonna go. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.